Hello and welcome back to the Midgard Express. We are going to do several different types of videos within this channel. We've got the regular Dragonbane where we go through the rules, we go through the bestiary, we talk about the game itself, and that's just the regular videos. Here soon, I will have two campaigns starting, one online and the second in person. Hopefully the online one I'll be able to record and post here. The second one, the in-person campaign, I will not be recording, but I will recap those. But also I host a lot of one-shots. These are just as they sound. They are one-shots. So I will recap them for you, the viewers, so that you can listen to the shenanigans of previous parties. Because I tell you what, they have a way of doing the right stuff. So the introductory, I want to talk about when I ran this for the Quickstart. Because it was the very first one that I ran was the Quickstart, and I even have the dates because I have all of it written down in my little notebook. I'm actually taking note of every single time that I run this. It was ran on February 12th, 23. Boom. So right here in front on the screen, we have Riddermound. This is what I give players when we run the games. Because right now I don't have terrain, so I don't have anything printed out for us to have physically for the players. So this is what we operate off of. Let me go to the Riddermound and I can read it as we go through it. So deep in the vast forest of the Misty Vale lies a burial chamber called the Riddermound. It is a feared place, haunted by the wight of a powerful knight in the Dragon Emperor's service. But the Barrow Wight is also said to be watching over hidden treasures. And it just says that Riddermound is a short and relatively simple adventure and a good introduction for new players. And that's what it is. The quick start actually suggests that you run the Riddermound, and we've already gone through the whole Kickstarter. We've gone through the quick start. It gives you Riddermound as the very introductory module, and I love it. It is one of the best modules for a one shot that I've seen in a while. So it gives me a list of locations, roll tables, and everything like that. We will go a more in-depth looking through of Riddermound on another episode. As I'm going through the rule book and the adventure book, we'll go through a more detailed review of Riddermound. But this, I just want to give you the quick descriptions of the rooms and what the players decided to do in said rooms. So down here, we've got, this is a mound. Basically, it's like this. It's like a small hill. It kind of notates that there is a tomb right there. So the players climb the mound. It's got these tall standing stones that rise in a glade in the middle of the forest. So basically, these are like a meter high. They're not tall at all, but they notate somebody of importance, somebody of decoration, somebody who is important. And, uh, the players, they, they all walked up the mound and they noticed that the stone slab, it is a 2x2 meter. Again, all the squares are meters because this is a Swedish TTRPG. They do not follow the system we use here in the United States. They use the metric system. But anyways, it's a 2x2 meters each square. So down here, this little stone slab, it's 2x2. And I like to say that there's a small gap it's kind of like been moved, so it's slightly ajar. The players they had no problem pushing it to the side. There's no actual strength roll for this. It's just a straight up, you just say that narratively it takes, a couple moments, but you start to gain a little traction and you push it to the side. Now, another fun fact is that there is no dark vision in this TTRPG. None of the player characters can see in the dark. Plain and simple. So if they want to see, they have to have a torch. Each character is typically equipped with a torch, but the torch itself can go out. And if it goes out, they can't see what they're doing. So it just makes it a little bit more interesting. So they look down into this hole in the ground as they pushed the stone slab to the side, and it's completely dark. So somebody lights their torch and they throw it down. Excellent idea. It lands down about, I think it said 4 meters, 5 meters. It's not a big deal right now, but it's about 5 meters down. Now each meter is about 3 feet. So think about that. It's pretty deep. So they throw it down, they see this giant opening, they see that this is kind of like an antechamber, like a loading area, basically. Now, I like to provide the players that there's a rope ladder just automatically there. It's not in the book. I like to add it in there because it just adds a little bit of flair. Most of the characters had rope on them, but I just like to give that just there. So some people have a hard time role playing, and I like to just put it there so that way they're like, oh, we just climb down the rope. Because if they have an item there, they get ideas of what to do. But if there's nothing there, then they have to really improvise. Maybe later on, after I've run this a couple times or a couple more times, I'll just say there's no rope ladder and they have to figure it out. But for right now, I've been including a rope ladder. And they are roughly right here. I like to put them all the way against the wall. Now, if it's a rope ladder, it should be somewhere right in here because it's like the middle of the antechamber. But I like to put them all the way against the wall. So they come down this rope ladder and they're being very cautious within the room already. They notice that there are doors on the other side. They notice there's 2 statues. One of them's like, I want to check for traps. One of them's, I just want to look around. And I make them roll several things. One of them made a roll spot hidden, and they saw that there was faint steps in the dirt. Like the dust has been kicked up a little bit because it's a burial mound that, nobody's supposed to be in here. So after walking through this antechamber and walking up to the doors, I also like to say that the doors that are right here are slightly ajar, as if somebody has come through here and whatnot. Now, that throws the players off and it makes them a little bit more cautious. But the problem that they did not foresee, right here above the doors, is a cauldron of vampiric bats. Well, a cauldron is basically, it's 100, it's a swarm. Um, and that's where some of the fun is, where the players got attacked by vampiric bats as they descended from the ceiling. Now, when I get to the bestiary, I will read the descriptions of the vampiric bats and all the other monsters. The vampiric bats, I'm really in love with. It's just a fun thing. I'm actually going to create several burial mound one shots for other items, for other things. And I'm definitely going to include the vampiric bats in there more often because it's just fun. So anyways, they fight the vampiric bats. A couple of them take a little bit of damage, not a lot, but they overall succeed against the vampiric bats. They do not decide to take a rest, they decide to push on. So they open the doors fully and they walk into this room right here, which is a guard room. That's just what it says in the book. Now, one of the cool things about this game is anytime they walk into a new area, I roll on the random roll table. If they spend more than 15 minutes in character in a room, I roll on the random events table. It kind of prompts the characters to do something. It's a fantastic idea. I love it. It's actually a lot of fun. So as the characters pass right here, I had one of the characters who had a really good awareness score. They had seen a silhouette of a blue woman floating in the air down here. Now, it wasn't basically they were seeing a ghost. They rolled on the fear table, or they rolled for their willpower. They saved, so they did not get any kind of they didn't take a condition from the fear table, basically. They walked further into this room right here. And again, this is the guard room. There's 2 guards mummified with antique armor on them. And this right here is a locked door. Iron barred oak door. Now they can beat it down and get through it, but they decided not to. And I always encourage my players to beat down doors because they can get through it, but it makes a lot of noise. You know where I'm going with this. But they decided not to. Instead, they went this way. They went down this corridor into this room right here, which that is the servant's crypt. Now, as they enter into the servant's crypt, the whole place is just torn apart. Coffins are pulled out. There's decorations on the wall that are just destroyed. And they bumped into a goblin named Grub. Now, Grub was very scared. Grub was very unhappy. Grub goes on to tell the party that there are ghosts here. There is something lurking about that should not be. There were, about 20 other goblins that came down here with them, and they're all dead. Grub was not very happy that he was still there. The players tried to talk to him, tried to get information from him. And they got a little bit. Like I said, they received a key, a rusted key. They got the information that there were other goblins here. So far, they have not seen the goblins' bodies, but they know that there's something roaming the halls that could potentially kill them. They know all of this. And that's what I wanted. I wanted them to feel a little bit of fear, just in case. But after me rolling on the table, I rolled that Grub runs away. And that's what happens. Grub ran down this hallway, down this hallway. Now the players are all still in here, the servant's crypt. But Grub runs down the corridor, and basically, as Grub was leaving, he's like, "I'm getting out of here," and is going to leave the crypt. But I rolled, or I had a player roll odds or evens on a d20, and it did not work out for Grub because I told them that as Grub runs this way, they can hear the footsteps getting further and further away. But then they hear, basically, Grub was attacked. And we'll find out about that later. But the players, they decide to continue further this way. They take the rusted key with them, and they're able to open that door, this locked door. Because again, it's a wooden oak door, is what I like to tell them. They're able to get through it, and in this room, they encounter, which that room is called the Ladies' Hall. It's a small room with an oak table in the middle and burning torches all the way around. So far, this is the only room that had any light already coming from it. There's a mummified woman in gilded chainmail, and she's sitting at the far end of the table. You can see right here. An iron-fitted oak door is behind the mummy and bears an ancient symbol in glittering silver. So this door right here, behind the mummy, it says specifically that there is an ancient symbol in glittering silver. So the players walk in and they're kind of confused, like, why is there a mummified person sitting at this table? They thought that was weird. So they walk up and one person inspects the body. Now, on this mummified woman, there is gilded chainmail and a magnificent light warhammer. It's called the Fiend Crusher. Now, this is a magic item, and it potentially helps them in this combat if it happens. And it did happen. But the players, one of them had grabbed onto the warhammer and was trying to take it from the mummy, but the face, or the head, I should say, turns to the player, kind of turns to the side, and they start to see this face, a ghostly figure start to come out of the body, and the hand, or one of the mummified hands grabs the player character by the wrist, and the translucent, ghostly figure that's coming out of the mummified body takes on a shape where the head is like much larger. The mouth starts to open wide, and it's like one of those deep mouths that's got like wide cuts. Ugh. The eyes are dark as night, and it starts to shout at the player in a language they don't understand. And I let them roll a languages check. Essentially, the language is from a archaic dialect that was from the past. So it's part of the history, the culture, the lore, the Dragon Empire. That's where this lady is from. She's from the Dragon Empire, and that language has been gone for a long time. So nobody knows that language anymore. But if they roll a successful, um, excuse me, if they roll a success on their languages skill, they understand a couple words. Excuse me. Basically, they're able to make out two words, and that's dragon and empire. As this ghostly woman just continues to shout at them in a language they don't know. Well, the player rips it from her hands, and basically when they take the mace all the way from the mummified lady, she becomes a wraith and she attacks the party. So I have them roll initiative. Now, the cool thing about this specific monster, it does not take damage from regular weapons. It only takes damage from magic weapons and magic. That's it. So this party, there was one spellcaster, a wizard, and the party itself only had one magic item, and that was the Fiend Crusher, the one that they just took from the lady, the now wraith that is in front of them. So it takes them a little while because even the ones that did not have any magic items or was not casting any magic, like I said, they had just regular weapons. It was just going right through her, flowing. They would see the air just kind of where the weapon was dealing damage. And they kind of figured that out. They figured out that it was really only the magic item and the magic that was doing anything of damage. Because I like to describe to the characters, like when you see your weapon slice through this spectral wraith, it glides right through. There's no resistance at all. There's nothing cutting, nothing slashing, nothing penetrating. And they kind of catch on with the way that I describe the action, and it allows them to figure out, oh no, we can't hit it. But once they figured out that magic and magic items take effect, they figured out what to do pretty quick. So they took a little stretch at this moment because a couple of them were wounded. I rolled on the table, nothing happened. In fact, I'm kind of the first. I'll go ahead and say this as a small blip or blurb. The first like 6 sessions that I ran of this game, I feel bad for my player characters because I did not do them justice. I'm still learning the system. Even now, I'm still learning the system. But the combats were not really as deadly as they should have been. Because I missed a couple things here and there, and I did not add in a couple things here and there. So, to my players of the first 6 sessions, I apologize. But going forward, any players at my table, they are full and well aware that they need to bring 2 character sheets because it may happen. Anyways, they finish with their stretch rest and they decide to look at this door because again, it's got the ancient symbol in a glittering silver. So they check it out, they look at it, and they decide, you know what, we're going through it. We're going through this door. I said, sure, let's do it. It takes them a little while, but they open the door, and this room specifically is the Tomb of the Dragon Knight. That's what it looks like. That's what it looks like. It is a skeletal. It's basically a knight, full plate armor with, horns on it and everything like that. It's a skeletal figure with a great helmed horn. Super great idea. Love it. Love it. Anyways, they open the door. It takes them a little while, but they get it open. And inside, they see this sarcophagus, which you can see right here. And I can, whoa, there we go. There's a sarcophagus right here. There's a mural against the wall of a dragon knight riding a dragon. But as they're in this room, the sarcophagus starts to open as it falls to the side. And then this dragon knight rises up halfway, turns to them, and they're like, so they back out of the room. The dragon knight stands up and comes and meets them head on. It was a great combat. Nobody perished. The Dragon Knight takes takes like half damage and whatnot, because again, it's undead and whatnot, but they had so much fun with it. The wizard used a spell to push the Dragon Knight back, and it flew like 2d6 meters, and it takes that much damage and bludgeoning damage as well. And it was fantastic. It's gust of wind, I believe, called, or gust of air. But it fights them. It fights them well, and they succeed. It, like I said, it was a tough one for them, especially because it was the first time I had ran it. They succeed in fighting. They gained armor from the mummified lady because again she had some gilded chainmail on her. My friend Ashley, she her wolfkin hunter specifically took the armor and the helmet. So dressed and decked out like a damn dragon knight, which was fantastic. She's used that character every single session we've played these one shots, except for the last one, and never more. But we'll get to that another time. So yeah, they succeeded against the lady. They succeeded against the Dragon Knight. Now they decided that they were just going to GTFO, just straight get out of there. They got some stuff. They got some, goodies, and they're like, yeah, we're getting out of here. So they go back this way, back into here. And again, this whole time, I'm rolling on the random events table. Nothing's happening. And I mean, first time running it, I was okay with that. But now I'm looking back, I'm like, I rolled piss poor for that to not happen. Like, there's so many things that they could run into, and they didn't. Anyways, they get into here. They keep going down this corridor back the way that they came. They get to right here, and the doors are still open because they pushed it open when they came in. And it's in here that as they hit the doorway, they see a dead goblin right here, right underneath the rope ladder. So they again, they're just kind of running through. They get to the rope. They're coming up upon the rope ladder right about here, and they stop and they inspect the goblin. And sure enough, it's Grub, the one that they were just talking to. Unfortunately, Grub met his demise. How? They have no idea. But basically, I rolled randomly to see if Grub would survive or not. I did it odds or evens, and he didn't survive. Grub is gone. Grub is gone. So yeah, that happened. Players climbed up the rope ladder. They put the stone slab back in place, and they went back to the town of Outskirt, because that's kind of like where the player hub is. Outskirt is really the only city, and it acts as like a home base for your players. I do not I because it's a one shot and this was my first time running it. I didn't run any encounters going there or any encounters going back to Outskirt. Again, new to this system because I was using the Quickstart, and the Quickstart didn't really give you anything for that, anyways. So yeah, my players all lived. They all had a lot of fun, and after just DMing this one session, I was honestly hooked. I really was. I mean, the art, the style, and the system, and the flair of how the whole thing works. Who doesn't want to play this? I mean, come on, seriously. Um, yeah, I mean, I just had so much fun running it. It is really one of the best modules, one shots, adventures, whatever you want to call it, that you could play. Because they just have it worked out so well. I did run, or I have run Riddermound 2 more times. Once more in person, which actually the next video will be me running it again because I ran it 2 times in a row. And then I ran this online for some friends of mine as well. And that one didn't turn out too well. That's actually probably a lot better story because there's a couple player character deaths. So, but again, thank you for watching. Make sure you do the things. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like this video. I do want to present that question. The characters, my players, they didn't inspect the rest of the tomb. What would you all have done? Once you fought the big bad of this one shot, would you explored the rest of the tomb, the Riddermound, or would you have just left like they did? What would you have done? So leave that in the comments. But again, like the video, subscribe, share it with your friends. But either way, I want you to live on and game on, or game on and live on. Yeah, we'll figure that out.